Hello, everyone, and welcome to this program. My name is Lisa Levinson. I'm with In Defense of Animals, and we're very excited to host this special program for you today. And this is on Activist Appreciation Month, which is a special offerings that we do once a year, and this is the time. And it also happens to be National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. So we're thrilled to be able to share this program, which is on eating disorders and veganism. And we're thrilled to share the program that is a groundbreaking program today through Alsana, which is a new program that offers treatment for those who have eating disorders who happen to be vegan. So it's my honor to share this and also to let everyone know that this is actually a special tribute to a vegan animal rights activist, Stefan Sauerberger, who recently died from anorexia nervosa. And so we're actually offering this in his honor to let the entire vegan community know that there is treatment out there, that you can keep your vegan values intact while you're receiving treatment from experts and dietitians and also therapists. And we also will be welcoming the author of a new book on this exact topic. So thanks to everybody for joining us, and special thanks to our panelists. Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Good.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Alsana to everyone and the staff from Alsana. So I think what I'll do is start with Tammy, and I'd like for you to, we'll go through each person who's part of the roundtable and take a moment, and each one can introduce yourself just really briefly, a bit about your background, how you got into this, and then I have a few questions for you. So Tammy, why don't you start?
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. My name is Tammy Beasley. I am a registered dietitian. I'm also a certified eating disorder registered dietitian with a specialist certification. Eating disorders is my heart, soul, and passion. I currently serve as Vice President of Clinical Nutrition Services for Alsana Eating Recovery Communities. I've got two of my colleagues with us today, one from Westlake, California, and one from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm in this because I'm fully recovered myself. The first few years of my recovery process overlapped practicing as a dietitian, not in this space. And once I was recovered and was encouraged by colleagues, because you're always nervous that you don't want to do something wrong, I never looked back. So I definitely feel a calling to be practicing today in this field. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tammy. So who shall we have next?
Taylor Rose.
Perfect.
My name is Taylor Rose Olea. I am a registered dietitian at our Westlake facility. I work at the residential level of care, so we have a 6-bed facility at all times. I am also recovered myself and a practicing vegan.
Thank you, Taylor Rose. How about Rebecca? Will you go next?
Sure. My name is Rebecca Baker. I work at Alsana as the Regional Executive Director in Missouri. I'm a therapist by training. I've worked with the eating disorder population since 2008 and really started just to learn more about that group and fell in love and have spent my career here since. And my passion lies in body-based treatments, so somatic experiencing. I'm an SEP, EMDR, internal family systems. That's kind of where my training lies. I'm also a certified eating disorder specialist and supervisor, and I'm the founder and president of our local IADEP chapter. And I'm so passionate about this topic and really excited to be here with everyone today.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Love that somatic work. Also, we have Jennifer Friedman here, and I would love it if you could introduce yourself. So Jennifer's not with Alsana technically, but she has an Alsana connection, and I'd love it if you could share a bit about your work and your book.
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Jen, and Yeah, I connected with Lisa that's how I sort of ended up here today, but I had spoken to Tammy prior, and the reason that I sort of ended up here is because I'm writing a book on eating disorders or eating disorder treatment and eating disorder recovery and veganism. And how I kind of got into that was I myself am vegan and recovered from an eating disorder. And part of my story was being in treatment and not being able to eat vegan while I was in treatment. And that really affected me. But I sort of let it go for a while, and I went on and I actually went to the UK, and I did my master's in counseling in the UK, finishing up with the University of Buffalo right now in New York. I'm doing an online program. I'm in New York City. So I'm, doing this counseling thing, and I've got this counseling role and experience that I'm gaining as I go through this. And sort of at the same time, I noticed that Alsana was doing this vegan program, and that is what inspired me to start writing the book that I'm writing, and kind of put all the pieces together as somebody who's experienced an eating disorder, as somebody who is vegan, and as somebody who's been in treatment and not be able to be vegan, plus the counseling part of it. When I saw that Alsana was doing this, my heart exploded, and I was just like, I have so many thoughts. And so I started writing this book, and it's my baby right now. And so I'm honored to seriously to be here with you all. It's actually really an honor, because you inspired me to start this project in the first place. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. This is perfect. Such a perfect group of people to talk about this. I'm just so delighted to be with all of you today. And the next question, the one that I'd like to ask, is about Alsana and what inspired Alsana particularly to begin this. So for many of you who are not as involved in the eating disorder world, and I have worked in the field for a decade before working in the animal rights field. And so there is a kind of a stigma against having vegan meal plans for those who are vegan in the eating disorder community. And so I'm just so, I think that it's very brave of Alsana to step forward with this program. And I also would love to hear more about what inspired you to do this.
I will jump in first. That is a great question. And I will credit Rebecca and I, in conversations when I first met Rebecca Baker, I was talking to her about what would you love to see happen with the nutrition program. And I think that was one of the first times that you said, I would love us to open our doors to clients who are vegan. And you're right, Lisa, that was taboo. It was avoided. If anything, a treatment center might say that they would accommodate, but often that was limited, and that accommodation may not extend all the way through. I think for me, seeing colleagues, I lived in the outpatient world for a lot of my 30 years plus in the field, and I would have clients come in. They would want to remain vegan in recovery, but they needed a higher level of care and they had nowhere to go. And I did a very informal survey with eating disorder dietitians, and 98% of those in outpatient practice have clients who are vegan who need a higher level of care for treatment, and they had no option. And it broke my heart. And knowing that the research says that if someone wants to get treatment and they're ready for treatment and they're told no, it's an average of 2 years before they might return and ask for help again. And we can't let 2 years pass. So to offer, it was an uphill battle. It was a 1.5-year conversation internally. Just again, talking through some of the, maybe the biases that weren't necessarily even obvious to the clinicians, but their own biases around this. everyone on this call probably knows what those biases are. It's often assumed that any elimination of any type of food, quote, must be part of the eating disorder. And we also know that is not true, that everyone has a right to honor their deepest core values and get the same respect and support at all levels of care as anyone else. So it just became very, very much a passion. And the leadership team of Alsana, they were all in, and it just took time again to kind of. I consulted with Lisa. I had consultant Jenna Hemshaw from New York, a vegan dietitian colleague, and just wanting to do it right and not wanting to do harm. We've made mistakes. I'm happy to talk about that. Our clients have taught us a lot, but I'm really proud that we were able to open the doors, and we opened in August 20. When was it? It was in St. Louis. Rebecca's program was the pilot program, August 2019. So yeah. So I'll stop talking. I could talk for a while and pass the baton over.
Yeah, I wonder, Rebecca, would you like to say anything about this?
Yeah, this has definitely been an area of interest for me for a long time. When I joined in 2008, even accommodating vegetarianism was kind of, as Tammy noted, seen as part of the eating disorder. And that as a vegetarian, that just really broke my heart. And I felt so strongly about shifting the narrative, the culture, creating accommodations, and not just accommodations, but like really great options, elevated option, not just, a substitution. And it's been really great to see the program evolve and mindsets shift, and just general curiosity and openness, because our field is relatively young, and there's just a lot that we're learning as we continue to kind of explore these avenues.
Taylor Rose, I'd love you to share some of the beautiful things that you and Olea, your chef, provide for clients. And as Rebecca mentioned, one of the funnest parts was really creating a menu that wasn't just peanut butter and jelly. That was really, we have some, we're an all foods fit, meaning all types of food. So we do not have that, good, bad list around sweets or snack, things like that. We want to normalize the enjoyment that and pleasure that you get from food, as well as nourishment. We just want to normalize that without judgment for having a vegan cookie, that is a part of life. But it was so fun to work with the chefs and create these beautiful entrees. Green pea croquettes is one of my favorites, and it's just a beautiful item. I don't know if the clients love it as much as I do, but we do try to really have, again, not just accommodation, but really we want the meal experience to be part of the healing process, that it is the sights, the sounds, the smells, the community, the relationship that you have when you're eating a meal with someone. We want it to be beautiful to the eyes and to the body. And our clients struggle, obviously, because of the eating disorder, with fear around food and the labels they have put on that food regardless. But we want to, again, just kind of hold their hand through that process and let new memories around a neutral to positive meal experience be part of that healing. So Taylor Rose, share with some of the beautiful things that you and Olea have done.
So I started with Alsana at the beginning of October of 2019, so right after the vegan program launched. And I've noticed, even in that short amount of time, there has been so many changes to our program in regards to menu selection, snack options, and like you mentioned, the sweet pea croquettes. We've been able to expand our recipe book quite a bit. We all know Oreos are vegan, but we don't want to just give it Oreos to the only vegans. We were able to find more vegan options as far as vegan baking goes, finding different substitutions that we're able to use in our regular recipes to provide a vegan version of something that's already beautiful and fantastic that we're already making. We are really grateful in Westlake to have a really amazing, awesome chef, Olea, who's really always willing to go above and beyond and try new cooking techniques and new styles for certain things. I think one of the coolest things that I was able to do with one of my clients, we made vegan macaroons. Usually it's like an egg white with the almond flour, but we found a substitute, which happens to be the liquid in a can of garbanzo beans that whips up into egg whites. And so we made the regular version and the vegan version for a kitchen skills group. It took several hours because it's a long process, but it was cool to see some of our vegan clients have a dessert they've probably never had before in their life and be able to be open to trying new foods that were previously kind of off limits for them. So it really expanded just like the variety and availability of vegan food in our program most recently. So that was probably the coolest thing that we've done. I mean, we've done other things like banana breads and cupcakes and cookies and all different sorts of baked goods, but I think that those macaroons are probably like the coolest thing we've done thus far.
You can tell that she has lots of energy. Can you share was it Iron Chef or what was yeah, that we have an exposure meal called Client Creation, and Taylor Rose is just gifted. So just share a little bit about that, because it was.
I'll have to send you some more of the pictures. We did it again recently. So
oh, good.
A day where one of our staff members was not there, and they were supposed to run an art group, and art group came right before nutrition. So I was like, okay. And then it was dinner. So we got to figure out something creative here to do in this 2-hour chunk of time. So what we did, I had each client individually give me a secret ingredient from the kitchen, and then we put all 6 secret ingredients onto our kitchen island. We broke off our 6 clients into teams of 2. So 2 people took the appetizer, 2 people took the entree, and 2 people took the dessert. And I think our ingredients at the time, the most recent one we did, we had like Lucky Charms, salmon, garlic, rice, soy sauce, and arugula. And they got so creative with it and made a whole meal with all of these things. They did like a teriyaki rice bowl, and then these Lucky Charm desserts, and like an arugula spring salad to start with. And it was really cool to see them get creative with all the different food options that they had available, and still honoring vegan clients while also having the non-vegan clients be able to participate as well. So our clients have gotten really flexible in trying new foods and just exploring options, vegan or non-vegan related, which is really great. I think it was like probably the coolest thing we've done in that 2-hour time block, and it worked out really well for our clients, and they did love it.
That's awesome.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing all the creative ideas that you're putting together in this program. And I was just also wanting to ask, did you get any feedback from the eating disorder community, like other clinicians, anything that you wanted to share about your reception into the classic ED world? Yes.
Don't let me talk too much, Lisa, okay? I would just have to say yes. First of all, overwhelmingly, the majority were very supportive. They were either nervous for us, surprised, or just, really excited. But we did have some pushback, and there was some clinicians who really struggle with feeling that it would not be appropriate to actually work towards full recovery without bringing in their opinion, all the food groups. To be able to do that it had to overlap, and again, I appreciate everyone sharing their opinion, and I will say that I am a different clinician today than I was last year, than the year before, than 5-10 years ago. And it's that clinician has not had the same experience I have. But in saying that, it also shows that we do still have work to do in our field, in the welcoming and seeing really the diversity and inclusivity in this area is so important, as it is in all the other areas that perhaps get more attention. But like I did that informal survey. The fun thing that I did was I did the same informal survey to the same listserv group of eating disorder dietitians a full year later to the month, and looked at that. The year prior, there was like 55% of the dietitians said they believed that someone could actually recover and remain fully vegan. And these were the 98% had clients who are vegan, but only 55%, slight majority, believed that there could be full recovery and remain vegan. A year later, I can't say that it's exactly the same people, but we had the same number and the same percent demographically. 73% a year later said that they believed it was possible. And I fully believe that it is because of the conversations that we're having now that, the eating disorder professional community, it is a relatively new field where I feel like I know everyone. I know I don't, but it's small enough that I feel like that our voices are being heard now. And I was actually really excited about that shift. So
Wow.
Rebecca and Taylor Rose, I don't know about you guys, and Jenn, what you've heard, but.
Yeah, I mean, as we were rolling it out, there was definitely polarized feedback and lots of curiosity and kind of concern, like Tammy mentioned. Again, very polarized. Some people were all about it and very excited, and others had concerns about how it would impact the milieu and overall delivery of nutrition to all clients, regardless of whether they were vegan or not. And so it's just been really amazing to watch that evolution occur. And like Tammy shared with the statistics, I have felt that to be true of my own personal experience with how folks are opening up to considering recovery more possible and exploring these options. So that's been pleasant, but it has been a hard road, to forge that path initially. But I am so grateful to be a part of that. And that was something I had my eyes on for years. And so it's really exciting that we're able to offer that service to people who really need it and who have been excluded for far, far too long.
Yeah.
I want to echo what Rebecca and Tammy had just mentioned, that, it is new, right? We're taking an initiative for trying something different. And from my experience working at other treatment centers prior to coming to Alsana, veganism was kind of like frowned upon. It was essentially, we're just not going to accommodate that. They never really inquired their clients as to why they're vegan or any rationales behind it. It was just kind of like no, we're just not going to do that. So I think when I came to Alsana, I was really happy to hear like we're opening our doors for vegan clients, because myself as as one of these types of people, I think it's important that everybody is deserving of the care regardless of their dietary preferences.
Great, thank you so much. And just curious, Jenn, did you want to add to that conversation? Anything you're aware of within the community as you were writing your book and working on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, just the sort of the timeline, because I was in treatment in 2010, and it was not, yeah, it was definitely not allowed. I won't say where I was in treatment, but it was not allowed then where I was. And I have seen since then, I've seen like a little, it being talked about just a little bit more, maybe some sort of possibility. Oh yeah, this place, might accommodate, this place might, started the conversation, started to happen to teeny bits, just because I think veganism itself is just becoming a little bit more mainstream just over the years. And, people, but there was always this kind of this undertone of, but, it's like, but with caution, and it just never felt like the energy around it was just never, it just never felt to me very open or welcoming. It was almost kind of like with a stipulation of like, but that's, restrictive right now. I'm not saying anybody's words verbatim, but that was sort of the feeling that I had. And it kind of got me to the point where the reason I started writing the book when I did was because of that expectation of seeing, like, I saw Alsana's tweet which was a retweet of a Washington Post article that Tammy, you were a contributor to. And I really had no idea about Alsana at that point. I had no idea about, any like narrative on veganism according to Alsana or anybody associated with Alsana. And my first thought was in the article, I think it was called "Can You Be Vegan and Recover from Eating Disorder?" Something along those lines. Was a Washington Post article. I truly thought I was going to open up this tweet and see, nope, can't. Because it was all I had ever seen. Most of the time, that was what I would see when I would open up a link like that. And so to see that it actually didn't say that, it said quite the opposite, was for me just a true sign that we were making progress. And I'm very, very thankful to Alsana for taking that leap, opening that door. So those are sort of just my personal reflections on it over time. It's starting to, the conversation is starting to expand now, thanks to people doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so I
Thank you.
applaud
Lisa,
this. It's so exciting.
Absolutely.
Tammy?
I want to add one thing to thank you, Jenn, and just because it's my heart to just, I think what has happened in the eating disorder professional community is partly due to very poor research. There is not enough research, and there is not, it's not good research, meaning that it's so limited that only until recently has there been any research on veganism and eating disorder recovery. And literally in 2018, the research was saying that if you are vegan, you must also be orthorexic, which is kind of an underlying, not yet diagnosis, but, red flags, certainly around disordered eating behaviors. But in 2019, it's changing. The research is now saying, wait a minute, it's really motivation based, and you can recover if the motivation is deeply in your values and ethical beliefs, that yes, it is possible to recover. So again, just to open up, why would clinicians not be able to see this? You only know what you know. And, to know that research that they depended on was so limited. And also, I think there was biases in the research as well, and poor definitions they used, limited small groups that they were using, in the study group, that they haven't had the advantage to really open their eyes and see. So I really am grateful to the whole clinical team at Alsana for really collectively being brave to open the doors and to step into that space, knowing that there might be controversy around it, but it was worth doing.
Yes. So this is just awesome. I mean, I completely congratulate all of you. This is totally groundbreaking, and I'm just, again, so thrilled to have this conversation with everyone. And I'm wondering, what about the non-clinical community? How have people responded to you opening your doors? People who perhaps either needed treatment or perhaps, are just hearing about you.
I'm talking too much.
Oh, it's perfect. It's great. We're getting a little sprinkling of everybody's thoughts. So yeah, if you don't mind sharing first, and then some other folks will join in.
Okay. I think that the reception might be warmer in the non-professional community. I think veganism is it is not a trend. It is here to stay, and I have felt that it has been met with kind of honestly, I've had some non-clinician colleagues say, you mean they weren't allowed, they couldn't go before? They were actually surprised that it was an issue, and they didn't realize it was an issue, which was interesting to see. Have y'all seen that?
Yeah, I would add, very similar to Tammy, I think that outside of the eating disorder community, folks seem much more open. really among the clinical community, among the last 10, 15 years, it was really seen as like restrictive, like a part of the eating disorder behavior, whereas like other outside folks don't see it and conceptualize it in that way. So like Tammy said, it's a bit warmer.
Yes.
I also think that from the outside community, a lot more people are coming to treatment because of it. I noticed in the last year, we've had probably at least 1 to 2 vegan clients every single month in program. So now that it's available, people are welcoming it and more open to coming to treatment and seeking the treatment they deserve.
Wonderful.
I can say that we have had over 90 clients who are vegan in treatment for eating disorders, which is, according percentage-wise to our total percentage, it's right under 10%, which is really awesome, really awesome.
Yes, that is super exciting. Yeah, and Jenn, do you want to share anything about? I know that you're writing a book on this, and do you think that the greater public is responsive to this type of material that you're discovering?
I think it's hard to say because I haven't really put it out there too much yet. I haven't really put the idea of it too much out because I'm still in the process of writing it, almost finished. But when I have put it out there, it's been this. I've gotten most of the feedback has been very supportive, very excited, and some of it has, understandably so, been like, well, are you talking to a nutritionist? Are you talking to a dietitian? Are you sure? My experience, it's not been like, and I think that what tends to happen is that there's sort of a jumping the gun about like, sort of what the book even is, so it's kind of like, okay, yes, I've been talking to dietitians, and I know I'm not here to convince anybody of anything either. So it's really like there's been a little bit of pushback just in terms of, I'm not sure about this. Like, I'm gonna have my guard up when I sort of, look into it more or do, so a little bit, but most of it has been very, very supportive. And even the stuff that's been, a little bit of a pushback has also been supportive in its own way. It's been kind of open to hearing a little bit more. So I would say generally it's been a pretty positive direction. Yeah.
Good. Well, it's so good to hear that because I guess that really means that the vegan community is growing. And just as it grows, some of the same issues that plague the larger community are also, we find them in the vegan community. So this is a really important to offer treatment for those who are vegan. And just to check in with anyone who wants to share, perhaps from Alsana, about any of the either struggles that you faced, anything you overcame, within the new program that you want to share about.
I am very happy to be very honest about that because we are very compassionate, imperfect humans for sure. One of the first things that actually happened that we weren't quite prepared for is we have admission guidelines. I think it's very important that any client admitting knows what to expect and all that we can do. So it's already a scary enough process to step into the doors of treatment. So at first we really didn't think about any question around how long you may have been practicing veganism before you admitted. And Rebecca will appreciate this, as Taylor Rose will too, but what happened when we announced and opened doors to treating clients who were vegan, every client in treatment wanted to become vegan overnight. And this was in one of our smaller programs. And their motivation was not the purity of it. It was, oh, I want to do that because I can then limit another food group if I do that. So it really led to actually chaos. There was a lot of conversations that needed to happen in a 24-hour period around that. And I think we learned that what we decided was 6 months is, there's nothing to base it on because there wasn't other programs we could say, well, what did you do? Or what did you do? So basically our admission guidelines do ask that the client has been following veganism for 6 months or longer, and that it's just, you know, confirmed by their loved ones, their treatment team, so that we avoid that chaos that can happen, that did happen, and it really has worked really well for us. We have also definitely made mistakes around an accidental serving of a snack that was assumed to be the vegan version and was not. That has happened. We step into that space, apologize, and that allowed us to get better because it actually allowed us to create a color system. Anything we can do to help the staff in a hurry, be very clear and careful about, not just on a label, but like the menus themselves are different colors so that it's just easy to see, so that anything we can do to help remove that possibility of error. And of course, it was in St. Louis. Rebecca, I'm sure, remembers, and there was just a lot of conversation and work around that, and just kind of stepping into it and processing the fact that a mistake was made. I think also the limitations as a treatment center that are just realistic, and that we will honor every ingredient that is recognizable, absolutely. And we will not be able, like an artificial flavoring or a natural flavoring. We don't have the staff and the labor to be able to look, to track down all of that. So basically, our guidelines say any recognizable ingredient we absolutely will honor. And we learn and we can change and grow that list as we go. But we had to have some boundaries around that in the larger community space.
Can I just say something about that?
Please,
though?
yeah.
Because it's like,
Sure.
when I remember you told that to me when we were talking on the phone a few months ago, and what I said to you at the time was, what you just said about honoring as much as possible, that is veganism. That is doing it as much as practically possible. You are modeling the vegan philosophy when you do that. Nobody is perfect, and that's not even the point of being vegan, is to be the perfect vegan all the time, 100%. You do what you can with what you have, especially considering that you're among the very first to be doing this. Maybe the first, I don't want to put a stamp on that statement, but definitely among the first for sure, doing this revolutionary thing. And so, I think in just even acknowledging that, you're saying, yeah, that is what veganism is, really. It's like doing what you can with what you have, and really genuinely striving to do that. You are genuinely doing that. If your heart is in the right place. And if I were a vegan patient in your program right now, I would appreciate that. I would appreciate the massive effort, truly.
Jenn,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, because I was pretty devastated, at clients in the beginning, just feeling like we wanted to do this the right way and the very honoring way. And Lisa, you were you were one of my consultants I called, and I think in tears, just going, we've made mistakes, and you were very gracious about that. And I'm very appreciative of that, because that's also potentially why other programs maybe don't step into the space, because they're afraid they're not going to get it right. And that has not helped us either, so yeah. But thank you, Jenn, so much for saying that. And Lisa, thank you, because I remember that conversation with you. It was it restored. It was a hard week. Rebecca, I would love if you have any thoughts just from the fact that St. Louis was our pilot program, with the newness of that internally with the professional team.
Sure. Rebecca, would you like to step in there?
Sure. My internet,
Going.
I'm sorry, my internet's a little choppy, so let me know if there's any issues.
Sounds good so far.
Okay.
I think, okay. Or maybe it's just a little bit delayed. I mean, it was, like Tammy said, there were challenges and we had to teach our staff, and it was a bit of a philosophy shift and like cultural shift within the eating disorder professional community. So I think as a therapist, the biggest thing for me is like we're conceptualizing this differently. Like we're creating more options, and we're looking at like, why is this person struggling with food? What has happened in their life? Emotional issues, relational issues, trauma, attachment, all of it. And so helping to like zoom out from like, this is about a restrictive food choice, and then reinforcing that it's about the food, looking at it how we've always conceptualized treatment for any client, whatever their ethical beliefs are. And so I think that it's still a growing process, but that's like the biggest shift from my therapist lens that I'm really seeing people are kind of coming around to. In just opening the program, like Tammy said, there's been a number of challenges. We've learned a lot. Our clients have been wonderful and gracious as they recognize we're forging the way with this new offering, and have been supportive because we know that there's other people struggling who need help, and they're willing to help us improve our process so that we can reach more folks.
Yes. Thank you. I will also say something here, because part of the process and a deeply spiritual part of being vegan is about the practice of ahimsa, which translates as nonviolence or dynamic harmlessness. And the idea is to do the least amount of harm that we can. And so that fits right with the model that you're describing of being imperfect, and that is about doing the best that we can and honoring the intention that we have to be harmless, to practice harmlessness. So thank you for doing that. And I'm so glad that everybody has been understanding, and that's part of the process as well, to be understanding of our own inner psyches, what's going on. And I think it's also really good practice for being out in the world as a vegan. There are times where you may be in a location that vegan food is not clearly available, or you have to make some choices. And how do you do that? So this is an opportunity to understand and practice those things, even within the treatment context. Yeah, so thank you.
Lisa.
So I have a couple, maybe another last question or so, and I just wanted to just see if there's anything that you want to share that you've learned from this experience, any piece of any message you would like to share with the audience who's joined us today, whether in our Zoom or on the Facebook Live, just any message that you'd like to get across about your program or your book. Perhaps we'll start with Tammy. Would you like to start?
Sure. I think, honestly, the first thing that came to mind is I want to apologize that for our profession that we've been slow, that we have not opened the doors earlier. And I know that eating disorders are a painful journey for all the ones involved. And anyway, I think that's my main thing, is just wanting to say we're sorry, and that we want to be a partner and collaborate. And I am convinced that I know for a fact that other programs are moving in this direction now. And I think that that speaks volumes. And just as we saw the way vegetarianism was viewed negatively several decades ago, I was, I was practicing. I remember the articles that came out, and, you read the headlines and you're like, oh, so you just assume. And I've changed so much. And I think that's going to be where veganism will be. So I'm very hopeful that we saw it happen. And Rebecca will agree that vegetarianism was frowned upon as being able to be separated from eating disorder, and you could recover and remain vegetarian. I am in full confidence that our profession will be, it may be 5, 10 years from now, but I just think we're going to look back one day and be surprised that we were not open armed in the beginning. So I hold great hope for that.
Wow, thank you so, so much for your hope. And just wanted to hear anyone else who wants to chime in about a message or a learning that you wanted to share.
Sure, I can go. Similar to Tammy, I think my message is just for hope. Like, I feel so deeply that I don't want people to be alone, like, especially right now, especially in the world we're in, the pandemic, the isolation we know that enables the eating disorder struggle to occur. And I just want people to know that there's a resource, and there's help available, and to know that we have options. So, and we're also super late. Like, our industry is just super late. And it pained me, honestly, working in the field for so long, knowing my own personal beliefs and not being able to have the avenue to deliver more options. And so we're still learning, we're still gathering more information, but my biggest thing is I don't want people to be alone. I want people to know that there is support and hope, and for people that are listening to share with their loved ones, just so we can avoid any other tragedies.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. How about Taylor Rose?
Very similar to what Rebecca and Tammy were just saying, that the program is constantly evolving. We are always learning, and all feedback is feedback, of course. I would just like to reiterate to everybody watching that recovery is possible, and I don't want your particular dietary patterns or beliefs to inhibit you from seeking the treatment. And it is possible to recover while still maintaining your veganism or vegetarianism, and we are here to support you through that whole process.
Yay! Any last thought, Jen? Do you want to add to that?
Sure. Yeah. I was kind of reflecting for a minute about what I kind of said earlier about the feedback that I had gotten regarding the book and the topic. And I think what I want to say is a little bit of an addendum to that, because I understand, this is new for me to talk about on this level, and it's hard for me to talk about in some ways. And veganism and eating disorders, veganism just in general, can be a very uncomfortable thing to talk about. And I am new to it in this way, and so I get a little nervous sometimes that I personally am gonna react from a place of being defensive, and I don't want to do that. That's the last thing I want to do. And I want to say that I really make this general broad claim that I understand why there might be questions, why there might be pushback, why there might be caution. I understand. And I'm coming from a place of trying to work with that, not against it, just with it, just understanding, kind of integrate it into the conversation. Go, okay, yes, you have these concerns, you absolutely do, based on your experience, based on the narrative, based on so many things, and some of it being the faulty research that was mentioned earlier, that I do talk about it in the book, which I'm very passionate about. But it's not even a but, it's an and. There's also this whole other perspective that just has largely gone unconsidered and just really, really, really dismissed as something to almost superficial, almost like, yeah, like it's a veganism, it's an interest, it's a preference, it's, it's an excuse for an eating disorder, and there's a lot that just has not been a lot of ground that hasn't been covered. And so what I'm trying to do, and the reason I'm so happy to be talking to you all today, is just because I think it's so important to just expand the conversation, look at it from an expansive place, not a I'm right, you're wrong, or this, that, it's just let's just all kind of expand our thinking. I'll be more open to why people think the way they do about it, and I would hope that we can kind of share in that conversation. So that's sort of, yeah, my statement, I guess, if you will. But yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks to each of you. I am super grateful for all of your perspectives and hearing such great news from each of you. And yes, I mean, veganism is a moral and ethical practice. It is, for many people, it is their spiritual belief system. And just like in many treatment facilities, they honor different spiritual practices such as Orthodox Judaism, which has a specific diet that they accommodate in many of the centers, the treatment facilities. Also, veganism is in its own right, its own practiced ethical tradition. So we hope that this wonderful door opening introduction that you've done within the eating disorder treatment world to veganism as a practice that's an ethical one that deserves its own um, special place within the eating disorder recovery world. And I am deeply grateful to you for doing this. And it just fills my heart with joy after working in the field myself for a decade or so and knowing in my heart that vegans also may need some treatment with love and with respect. So thank you for doing that and bringing that to all of us. And also a special thank you to Stefan's family who's joined us in this webinar today. And we extend our love and our condolences to you. And we wish and we put out that message to everyone that if you are struggling, if you are vegan, you have an eating disorder, please reach out to a place like Alsana for treatment because it's now here for you. And that means that we can all be, healthier and happier and live full lives. So thanks to everybody for joining us. Special thanks to Alsana and to Jenn for writing the book. And we're just delighted to have everybody here today. And we hope that you take all this messaging out to the vegan community and beyond. And thanks to each of you. And if you're curious, we still have Activist Appreciation Month is going on, and you can find out more about that at idausa.org/activist month. We'll be sure to put a replay of this right there on that page. So thanks to everybody. Have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.